Hi, everybody. This is your coach and author speaker, Eric Vernor, on the No Excuses Time Management course, video one. And what I'd like to talk to you about today is the theory that time management is truly self management. When you stop to think about it, the most successful people on the planet, the Warren Buffetts, the Oprah Winfrey's, all the wealthy, powerful celebrities that have so much more going on in their lives and more accomplishments than everybody else. Stop and think about the fact that these people have the exact same 24 hours in their day that you do. And what it comes down to is their discipline and focus is a lot more concrete than most of us. And I can say myself in that same equation, just because I get a lot done, I've got a fairly successful company, and everybody who follows me on social media sees all the different things that I'm constantly talking about doing. Uh, yeah, I'll be honest, I've had people in my life who are very close to me say that there's been a lot of times where I look busy all the time. And just because you're busy doesn't mean you're productive. It just means you filled all those hours with something to do instead of just sitting on the couch watching Netflix. And there's nothing wrong with watching TV and having a little downtime. I don't want to dissuade people from not having a life. Don't be a workaholic like I am. But in all honesty, to have a focus and to have a real drive to accomplish something, I mean, we all want to add more time to our lives. At least that's what we tell ourselves. And the truth of the matter is, you only have those 24 hours in a day. What really matters is what you're doing with that time. And we'll talk about it in the second video on exactly how you're figuring out how you're wasting your time or how you're properly using the hours you have in a day. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves too quick at this point. I want us to talk about our discipline and our focus. In other words, why did you bother taking this class in the first place? What is your why? What is your reason for doing it? And if we have specific goals, because part of this class is not just time management, but of goal setting. And I'm going to jump into that very briefly to show you how the two pieces connect together. If you don't manage your time, you can't accomplish what you want. You don't have the destination, but your drive is your discipline. That's where it comes from, is knowing what you want. And for a lot of people, they need to stop and look at it in two different threads that are ongoing at the exact same time. One is, ask yourself, what is the cost to you personally if you don't accomplish the very thing is that you say you want? And the other is, what is the gain for you if you actually do succeed in getting all these things accomplished that you want? You know, a lot of us talk about, a lot of my students that I've had a one-on-one with so far, they talk about, well, they're afraid of failure. And we all have that fear of, what if we try really hard and don't get anywhere? What are people going to say about us if we don't succeed? What's it going to mean to me personally later on down the road? And to that I say, if you don't even try in the first place, you're already a failure to yourself in your own eyes, let alone to everybody else. Now, the pleasure pain principle, you're going to go through a little bit of pain in trying. That's all about life and evolving, and it's like building muscle. You go to the gym, you're in pain because your muscles are actually wearing out, and when they heal, they're building themselves stronger because they've knitted back together, and the scar tissue that is created increases your muscle mass. Well, your efforts in life of putting more out there to reach your goals and discipline yourself to do it, that's very much the same thing. So the pleasure is what you get from knowing what your outcome is, where you want to go, because that makes the efforts that you're putting yourself through make it all that much more worth it. We have to reconfigure exactly how and why we define the things that we say we want to do or don't do. And a lot of that is, instead of breaking it down and trying to figure out uh, what are all the micro steps to get everything we want, we start to feel overwhelmed with that. You know, um, And it's a matter of disciplining yourself to know what you're actually going to be getting out of it and why. Um, there's often too many thoughts going on in our heads of why we can't do something. We put it off, we procrastinate. Another aspect of this course is, don't feel overwhelmed when it comes to the million different things that we all feel that we need to do. If you sat there and actually made an itemized list in the first thing in the morning of everything you think you need to do in a day, I don't know about you, but when it comes to me, I could probably write down 20, 30 things easy every single day I wake up. And what happens is we keep procrastinating, putting these goals off because we're afraid we won't accomplish any of them. So we don't bother getting started at all, or we just kind of create these time-wasting activities of, well, I'll get to it later because it feels overwhelming, so I'm going to check my email. And they'll check a link that comes in their email. And then that follows to a related article to another, and then they'll read the comments from somebody else, and suddenly they've killed an hour. And then they look at their to-do list, they'll think, oh my God, there's a lot of things on here. Oh, wait a minute, I'm going to check my social media, see who's posted what today, So, we keep putting things off because we don't want that feeling of being overwhelmed, so we keep occupying our time with other things that don't matter at all. And then what's the end result? We're more stressed out by the end of the day because all the things we made ourselves do, And in the next video, I'll talk about, the time that we waste, but also how other people waste our time through technology and, the things that are set up in our lives and what we can actually do about stopping that from happening. If we prioritize, and I want to say that what we feel is important is not always a priority. Now, prioritizing isn't just putting things off to do it later. It's not procrastination. There's a difference between the two. Prioritizing is figuring out on your list that's near at the bottom that needs to be moved a little bit further up the chain, needs to be done today or sooner rather than later. And procrastination is you just put it off and you don't feel like doing it ever. And like I said, if you take all the different things in your life that you want to do that day, you can't list them all at once. You have to go, okay, here's 24 things that I think I might be able to get done. Let's break them down into different categories of, oh, this has to do with my job. This has to do with my family. This has to do with, another aspect of your life. Well, what you do is you prioritize those individual little lists. And the trick is to do at least 20% of each of those lists every day, the most important ones. The ones that are going to have more significance for how your life is going to unfold for the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the rest of the year. And you'll realize that the other 80% of the list that you didn't get done probably wasn't that important in relation to the other stuff that you did get done. You have to look at it for the significance factor of how long is this going to affect you if you do these different things. Is it going to have, something that you do today? Is it going to give you a better tomorrow versus if you put one thing off and you have a negative result to it? You don't pay a bill, so you lose your utilities or something like that. But if you go out and you write the check and you drop it in the mail, you keep your utilities for another month. Something like that. That is a importance and a prioritization because it's important to get it done. You make it a priority, it gets done. So, that has a longer term effect on you. So pretty much if you can rethink the wording that you tell yourself of why something's important, why something is a priority over what isn't, and you are able to prioritize your list, you can knock out the 20%, and then those dominoes kind of fall into place, and the other minor things, sometimes they get tripped and triggered kind of by themselves just because of the action that you put into motion in the first place. And our next video will also talk about tools and tricks of the trade of delegation. You don't have to do everything yourself. You just have to find the right skillful people to bring into your life that want to help you succeed. People that will help hold you accountable, like myself, giving these follow-up calls in life coaching. So I hope you got something useful out of this first video, and there'll be more to follow this next week. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later.